All right, so this week we're talking about becoming. All right, we've talked about mindset. Now we're talking about becoming what you signed up to become. Okay, so when I talk about becoming a husband or a wife, I'm not talking about getting married. Right? So the wedding day, on your wedding day, you get the title of husband or wife, but you become a husband or wife in the marriage, right? It's a process. It don't happen automatically. And even if you've been married before, you still have to become the husband or wife that this marriage needs. That's going to take some time. So when we're talking about becoming, let me give you some overarching realities that you want to embrace. Then I'll break down the areas of focus specifically for a husband and then for a wife. Okay. So in general, for the husband and the wife, you have to make humility your number one priority, right? Humility is the number one characteristic of a husband or wife. Without humility, nothing else that we talk about will work. I promise you, you are going to get frustrated, tired, fed up if you do not make up your mind to walk in humility. That has to be number one. So what does humility mean? That means I don't know everything. Whether I'm the husband or the wife, I don't have all of the answers. If I'm the husband and the leader, I still don't have all the answers. If I'm the wife and I'm following my husband, I don't have all the answers. Okay? So you got to realize when I'm walking in humility, I'm that keeps me teachable. So I'm always in the mindset of I wonder, or I wonder if that's possible, or I wonder how we can do that, or I wonder if he's right. I wonder if she's on point. When I'm walking in pride, it's all about me. Pride is the opposite of humility. So when I'm walking in pride, your opinion don't matter, or it don't matter as much as mine. My way is right. My needs are the dominant needs. Okay. Also, another thing that you need to get when it comes to humility, this mindset of humility means this: embracing the reality that your marriage is not about you. Your marriage is not about you. Your marriage is about your partner. Their marriage is about you, but that's not your business. That's their business. See, you have to embrace this mindset of humility, including us, not just me. So when you're operating in a marriage, you can't just move how you want to. That's called arrogance. That's called pride, right? You have to move when it comes to the marriage. In the marriage, you have to move in a way that benefits us, not just me or not just you, but us. Okay? So that's the humility piece. Also, another thing that is right under humility is the idea of being committed to personal development. If you're not committed to personal development, I can promise you are going to suffer on this planet. You're going to suffer. We as human beings, we are to be constantly growing, always improving, always getting better. I had a very eye-opening conversation today with a friend that echoed the same things that the people who I follow, the famous people that I follow, he was echoing the same things as them. And this time, coming from a friend, a regular person, I mean, everybody's a regular person, you get what I'm saying. I understood it differently. And here's what I'm saying. Identity is the main thing that's going to elevate you or keep you stuck. And so this whole becoming a husband or a wife, I'm addressing identity. But beyond that, let me talk about your personal identity for a second, okay? Whoever or whatever you want to be in your life, you have to make a choice to be that. So let's say I'm gonna use myself for an example. I'll use myself. So I recently admitted publicly, when I say publicly, meaning out of my mouth, not necessarily publicly out in the world, but I've said it out of my mouth. Hey, I want to be nationally known. I want to be one of the best at what I do. I used to be afraid to say that because I thought it was arrogant. I thought it was prideful. But then Darius Daniels really helped me with sometimes God is at work in what you want. So you got to say what you want. And he brought up the story of, there's a story in the Bible of this lady named Hannah. Hannah wanted a child. Nowhere is it recorded that God wanted her to have a child. She wanted a child because she felt ashamed and she was barren, and she was like, I want a child. So she went to the temple and she was just crying, crying, crying. And the prophet Eli came out and said, woman, you should be ashamed of yourself out here drunk in church. I mean, he said temple, but why are you drunk? And she said, sir, I'm not drunk. It's just that I want something so bad from God and I don't know how to get it. And so long story short, she ended up getting what she wants, a baby. Guess who that baby was? Samuel. Samuel ended up becoming one of the greatest prophets of the Old Testament. And Samuel only came to be because Hannah verbalized, articulated, embraced what she wanted. So I said, you know what? I want to be nationally known, not for the fame. I'm not a fame kind of person, never have been. But I want to be nationally known because I want to be the top. I want to be the best. The reason I want to be the best is because I believe I can help more people that way. So it's about helping more people. So that's the first step. I've decided what I want. Okay, so you got to decide what you want. If you don't have it now, great, but you got to decide what you want and who you want to be. So what I want is to be nationally known. Then the next thing I have to assess, okay, who I am today. Can I get there from here? The answer is no. What I had to realize is this, and this is where some of you, you may not want to do this part because it's not easy. I had to look in the mirror. It wasn't a literal mirror, but sometimes that may help too. But I had to look in the mirror. And I said, you are a weak man. Now, to most men, that's a trigger, being called weak. But I call myself today weak. Why did I do that? Because it's true. In certain areas, I'm weak. I'm very weak in the area of discipline. Yeah, I'm telling on myself because today it ended today. In the area of discipline, weak in the area of follow through and consistency. You wanting to be the best at what you do and you lack in these three areas, then it's not going to work. So the first thing I had to do is recognize where I am, just like with your GPS. Before it gets you where you want to be, it has to identify where are you right now. So I had to be honest to say where I am right now, I'm weak as opposed in relation to what I want to be. I'm weak. Here's the thing that makes us humans different than animals. I am weak, but I don't have to stay weak. That's why I'm identifying where I am so that I can get to where I want to be. See, a lion can only be a lion, meaning a lion can only do the things that lions do. He cannot do anything else. But a human being, I can change my identity. And when I say change my identity, really what you want to do is embrace the identity that God has already determined for you. Yeah, and I can promise you that identity has greatness built into it. Why? Because God is great and you're created in his image. So I may look in the mirror and say, man, I am weak. But I'm acknowledging that so that I can then say, I don't want to be that anymore. So what do I have to do? Okay, so I made a list of things that I'm changing immediately to get me on the path to getting to where I want to be. See, I told a story the other day on my podcast about The Last Dance. That's a documentary about the Chicago Bulls and their last year, the last year they won a championship. What I learned in that documentary, see, I've been a Michael Jordan fan since I was a kid. But what I did not know back then, back in the 80s and the 90s, is all of the behind the scenes work that Michael Jordan did to be as great as he was. I knew nothing about that, right? So when I watched The Last Dance, I was like, wow. Okay, so this brother is, in my mind, the greatest to ever play the game. But it wasn't because he was just gifted, because he was just talented, because God just blessed him. No, he worked his butt off. Ask yourself, whatever you want to be great at, whatever, are you working your butt off? I can raise my hand and say, no, I was not working my butt off. You know why I wasn't working my butt off? And maybe you guys may need this. The reason why I hadn't been working my butt off in my life is because my average has historically been better than most people's best. I'm not lying. My average has been better than a lot of people's best. But that too was a mirage. You know why? Because I was always hanging around mediocre people. So the folk I kept around me, not intentionally, but when I look back over my life, the folk who my average was better than their best, it's because I had nothing but mediocre people around me. So I had no inspiration to go to the next level. And that was the thing when I talked to my friend today, who's somebody I used to play basketball with all the time. And he had this determination, this drive. And I thought about him today. I said, man, let me call him and find out like what that was about. And we had a conversation, and man, I found out so many things. And what it boiled down to was, he said, you can only be who you are. That's all you can be. So if you are a weak man, that's all you can be. If you are a weak woman, that's all you can be. If you're a petty woman, that's all you can be. If you are an insecure man, that's all you can be. Until you decide to be different. If you never decide to be different, I promise you're going to stay the same. But that's just the first part, deciding, okay, I see where I am. I'm deciding I don't want to be there. Then you got to get busy doing the work to change your reality. If you're not going to do the work to change your reality, then stop saying, I want the mountain. That's a lie. Stop saying I want the mountain if you won't do the work at the base of the mountain to get to the top of the mountain. Just stop. Don't do that. Now, here's something else you need to know, because this applies to being a husband or a wife or anything great in your life. It's not going to be easy. You are going to have to break up with this love affair that you have with easy and comfortable. Now I'm talking to me. Y'all gonna have to break up. Easy and comfortable are not your friends. I promise you, you'll stay broke. You'll stay in sucky relationships. Your marriage will not grow. Okay? You have to break up with easy and comfortable. You have to break up with easy and comfortable. You have to break up with easy and comfortable. Why did I say that many times? Because I need you to hear me. I need you to hear me when I say you need to break up with easy and comfortable. Or stop saying you want the mountain. Stop saying you want a great marriage all the triggers that you brought with you to the marriage. Hey, you didn't choose them, right? It happened in childhood. That wasn't, you didn't choose molestation. You didn't choose an alcoholic father. You didn't choose an abusive mom. But guess what? That's what you had. So now what you going to do? You going to sit on the sideline and complain? Okay, that's fine. Just stop talking about the mountain. That's all I'm saying. Stop talking about you want great relationships. Stop talking about you want to be a great man or great woman. Stop talking about the kind of marriage you want if you're going to stay on the sidelines. But if you're going to get in the game, put your pads on, do the work, get prepared. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to prepare you guys so I'm trying to prepare you for the great marriage that you say you want, because it's not going to come just because you want it. You know how long I've wanted to be financially free? Do you know how long I've wanted to be a lot better at basketball, a lot better at, you know how long I've wanted to learn how to play golf? You know how long I've wanted certain things that I don't have? A long time. You know why I don't have them? Because I never made the choice to do the things that were necessary to have that. And so what I want to encourage you to do, we talked about the mindset. Talking about the mindset does not give you the mindset. You got to make a choice to walk in it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, first thing is becoming a husband or a wife. First, you need to become you. Who did God create you to be? What are your skills? What are your talents? I don't know. Okay, that's fine. Find out, because I promise you it's in there. How do I know it's in there? Because I believe the Bible. And the Bible says that you were created in God's image. So by default, there's greatness in you. You got to find out what it is.